The Last Jedi wasn't that great. Did it suck? No. But, I mean, nobody wants to click on a video that says The Last Jedi was just okay. You know, it's all about shock value. I want views. Before all the fanboys attack me, I happen to personally be a Star Wars fan, okay? I buy the shit. I buy the shirts, I buy the figurines, you know, I have a Darth Vader necklace that I wear almost every day. I really like Star Wars. I love Star Wars. The original trilogy, you know, I'm a big fan, but regardless, I really like Star Wars. I keep up with it, you know. When the prequels came out, I was from the ages of, 1 to, I guess, 5 or 6. So I never saw the prequels in theaters because I didn't give a fuck about them when I was a little kid. But for the past 2 years, I've gone to the premiere of every Star Wars film that's come out in the past 2 years with Disney, which happens to be The Force Awakens and Rogue One. And walking out of the theater of The Last Jedi was the first time in 2 years I can truly say I was extremely disappointed. This review is going to contain spoilers, obviously, so if you're the only person left on planet Earth that hasn't seen this fucking movie and you don't want the movie spoiled for you, then I would not recommend continuing to watch this video and go see the movie and then come back, you know, if you really want to watch my video. But there's so much just shit in this movie, just so much garbage, and just not, why? Because first we open and there's Poe and General Hux, you know, giving witty banter back and forth with each other, and then there's Leia, and then there's all these random shit, and then there's C-3PO, and then there's R2-D2, and then there's all this fucking shit going on, and then there's Kylo Ren, and then here's Rey with Luke, and then Luke throws a lightsaber over his shoulder, and then there's the Porgs, and there's Chewbacca, and there's R2-D2, and then there's just Rose, and then there's Finn, and then they go to a casino, and then something happens, and then they meet this Benicio del Toro, and then now they're off, and then now they're, you know, trying to figure out everything, and now they're back, and bleh. There's 5 different plots going on in this film, and none of them are very satisfying in the very end. I don't blame Rian Johnson really at all for this film being so just disappointing, because some parts of the film really did work, but a lot of the film, there was just a bunch of shit. Just a bunch of fucking shit in it. And it's hard to blame Rian Johnson, because do you think he really wanted 30 different characters in there? No. I think it was Disney coming to him and saying, you know, shove all these different people in there because we want to sell more action figures. So shove this new character in, shove 5,000 new critters in there so we can sell some toys. You know, it's all just a marketing thing. It's all about money for them. You know, it's just an advertisement for the toys you can go buy and Target next door after the movie. That's all this movie is. Finn and Rose get this mission from Poe to go onto the First Order ship, I don't remember what it's called, to go onto there and then to get their shields down or something like that. But first, in a totally out of place scene, they have Maz. Is that her name, Maz? I don't know. The one played by Lupita Nyong'o. I can't say her name. The one played by her. It's 1 a.m. I'm so sorry. She's just totally just thrown in there just so people could be like, ooh, I remember her from another movie. You know, she plays no role in this. But they learn from her that they have to go to a casino and look with a player with a red flower pin. And so they go to the casino, and it's so obvious that this entire scene is just there so they can have a canteen scene and so they can play the canteen music. It's just so stupid. They can't find this man, and then there's some subplot with Rose, and she's from this planet. She's a bunch of rich people. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention, honestly. And then they go back in, and then they see the guy with the red emblem. And then somehow they get arrested, and they get thrown in the dungeon of the casino, I guess. And then they run into Benicio del Toro's character, which I do not know the name of. I think it might be DJ or BJ. If his name is BJ, that's an unfortunate name. But they run into this guy, and he's like, oh, I'm a master coder. I can get you, and I can get the shields down, or whatever. And then they're going to crack the shields down, and then all of a sudden they get caught. While they're caught, Benicio del Toro's character becomes a traitor, and he sells the secrets of the resistance, I guess, I don't know, to the First Order so he can get money. And then we never see him again. I think, like, a blast goes off and, like, interferes with everything, but, like, we never see his character again. We don't know if he died. Nothing happened. Like, that, everything that happened in the casino was just pointless. It was pointless. It was absolutely pointless. And then Captain Phasma pops up for no good reason. She's just, like, here to be, like, FN 2187, hey, welcome back, you know, to be, like, a smart ass. And then she dies. And the entire subplot with Finn and Rose was so stupid. It was just so completely unnecessary. Rose's character is getting a lot of hate on social media. I didn't hate her. I thought she was cute. You know, the actress did a good job with what she had. But I didn't really have a problem with her. I thought she was cute. She just wasn't given very much to do. I really blame her character on bad writing. I think one of the biggest problems that I have with not only this movie but the entire new Disney Star Wars trilogy is none of the characters have any depth. The only character I find myself caring about is Kylo Ren, because he's the only character that these people put effort into. He's the only character that has depth and emotion and true human qualities. You know, he's conflicted and he's evil, but he's conflicted, and he's just all these different things. I find myself in these lightsaber battles, you know, with Rey and Kylo Ren, where you're supposed to be rooting for Rey because she's for the light side. I find myself rooting for fucking Kylo Ren because I don't give a fuck about Rey. Kylo could, you know, kill Rey, and I'd be like, okay, because she has no depth. She has not gone through any emotional change. Nothing. She's just been pretty and perfect since The Force Awakens. Like, they could do so much with her character. She's perfect. Like, that doesn't make me attached to her. That doesn't add depth. She's so thin and just poorly written. And you could argue that, oh yeah, she had her, you know, a little conflict with the dark side, but she only, like, went to a hole one time and saw herself in a mirror, and then, oh, she's back to being a Jedi. Like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Rey is just too perfect to be real, so it's hard for me to get emotionally attached to her. And the only other ones I care about is, like, Luke and Leia, because they're from the old trilogy, and of course I like them. It's just somebody needs to learn how to write a damn character over there at Disney, because what they're doing is not working. There's a lot of people on the internet pretty pissed about what they did to Rey's parents, you know, just brushing it off as this, you know, no big deal kind of thing. But honestly, I don't hate what they did with her background story. I think having her come from, you know, nobody parents, you know, I think it's pretty interesting. It shows that it's not necessarily a genetic thing to, you know, be talented in the Force. It can also just be that you just happen to be good at the Force, I guess. But at the same time, in The Force Awakens, her parents were hyped up so much, like, who's Rey's parents? Who is she? Who is this girl? Blah, blah, blah. And I feel like they shouldn't have revealed that in this movie. Does Disney not fucking know that they're supposed to make another movie after this? Do they buy Star Wars and not know that they come in threes? Because they answered so many questions in this movie. It's like, what? They don't even have to make an episode 9. What are they gonna do for episode 9? Who Rey's parents were was such a big question raised. Even if they, you know, were just nobodies, they should have waited until episode 9 to reveal that, you know, keep people on their toes, and then they find out in episode 9 that she's a fucking nobody. Like, that just makes sense if you're trying to make a movie with suspension, but obviously we have a bunch of fucking monkeys over there at Disney writing these movies. Back to things that were answered way too early. Snoke dying was so unnecessary. Nobody knows who this fucker is, okay? Absolutely nobody knows who this guy is. There was so much mystery around him, like, who is Snoke? Who is this? Who's the Supreme Leader? And then next thing we know, he's fucking cut in half and laying on the floor of a cruiser. Why, Disney? Why? Why would you kill him? You could just... So many unanswered questions just, like, died when he got split in half. And I don't know about you, but Snoke looks like he's been through some shit. He's got a fucking scar on his cheek. He's missing a cheek, it looks like. He's fucking looks weird and old as hell. How could he just be killed by a lightsaber to the waist? That's a terrible way to go. He did not deserve that. Snoke did not deserve to die such a human death. That was just really, really bad. But if Snoke's so talented with the Force, how could he not know that Kylo was actually just tricking him and using the Force to turn the lightsaber? Like, I thought Snoke was supposed to know everything. He looped Rey and Kylo's minds together. What? I don't know how that makes any sense. How did he not know? And I guess the dialogue that he's saying, like, oh, he's gonna kill his true enemy, but can't he like see a vision of what Kylo's actually doing with the Force? I don't know. It makes no sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to you. Maybe clarify, but it made no sense. And they really shouldn't have killed Snoke in episode 8. They should have killed him in episode 9 if they were going to kill him, because again, like I said, it's a trilogy. It comes in threes. What the fuck are they gonna do for episode 9? Because they already answered all the questions. They already tied up all the loose ends. Like, what the fuck? But the worst part of this film was when Leia got sucked out into space, and then next thing we know, she's using the Force to marry Papa in her way back to the cruiser. Why? Leia flying through outer space back to the cruiser. Oh my god. But then, what's even the point of having her remain alive? She just is incapacitated for half the movie because she spent like 30 minutes out in space or however long. She only wakes up with like 10 minutes left in the film, and then she's just like sitting in a transport pod with Poe and just like sitting there. She doesn't do shit. Leia doesn't do anything. Why not just kill her then? I thought when she got sucked out into space, that's how, they're gonna get rid of Leia, because Carrie Fisher is not around anymore. I'm just really curious what they're going to do in episode 9, because they don't have Carrie Fisher to, like, tie that up. Are they just not going to show her and just never mention her and, like, act like she's just fucking disappeared? What the hell? They should... Why didn't they just kill her? Why didn't they just kill her? Oh my god. Luke Skywalker's character was also pretty not accurately portrayed, I thought. In the beginning of the film, they pick off with Rey and Luke where The Force Awakens left off, where Rey is handing the lightsaber to Luke, and then Luke takes it and just throws it over the shoulder. I don't know, that was, it was funny, but it just wasn't something I see Luke Skywalker doing. Luke Skywalker, he's always been kind of like whiny because he was young in the trilogy and, naive, but he was always, a good person. He saw the good in fucking Darth Vader, out of all people. But, he thinks about killing his nephew because his nephew has had thoughts about going to the dark when his nephew is still young and he can still mold him and train him. But instead, he thinks about killing his nephew. Like, okay, but then he screws up one time, just one time, and then he becomes a hermit and moves far, far away. That's just, I don't feel like that's something Luke would do. Luke sees the good in everyone, so Luke sees the good in Darth Vader, so that convinces me enough that he wouldn't try to kill his own nephew. And then he's been through so many things and just so many, he blew up the fucking Death Star. Like, if he fucks up one time, I don't think he would become a hermit. I didn't feel like I was watching Luke Skywalker. I completely blame Disney for this fucking atrocity. The entire thing, as I said earlier, felt like an advertisement for children's toys. It was like they just had to throw in all of these different fucking characters because they have to sell toys and they have to sell spin-off films and all of this huge big fucking shit. Just all of these, this is just all of this stuff that did not need to be in this movie. The Force Awakens, yeah, it might have been a little bit of a ripoff of A New Hope, but you know what? It was simpler. It was easier to follow. It didn't have all of this convoluted shit in it. It didn't have like 80 different characters, blah blah blah. It was simple, easy to follow. It was enjoyable. I didn't leave the theater feeling disappointed in my life. So, I think that's an accomplishment. It's so obvious, to me at least, that Disney wants to throw in all of these fucking characters into this trilogy so they can make a bunch of sequels and spin-offs and blah, blah, blah. They have to make the expanded universe and there has to be a new Star Wars film every fucking 6 months and I really have a problem with expanded universes. Marvel Marvel has them, DC has them, now Star Wars has them, Avatar's gonna have them. Everybody has to have a fucking expanded universe. Marvel is the OG, and I'm not gonna argue that Marvel did the cinematic universes very well. It's well executed, it makes sense, you know. I enjoy Marvel movies, but I just have a inherent problem with the idea of expanded universes. I'm not that old, but I still remember when going to see a superhero film was special. But ever since the introduction of the expanded universe, that isn't the case anymore. It's like we're almost expected to see a Star Wars film or to see a, you know, superhero film or to see like a sci-fi film. It's like we're expected to see all the shit that was once special. Star Wars is something special. It was a film series that George Lucas, you know, love him or hate him, he fought to make A New Hope. Nobody wanted to make it. Everybody thought it was gonna, you know, not do well. Yeah, everybody thought it was just another movie. Star Wars was something special. Star Wars was something new and refreshing, and it was so simple but so interesting to see. Everybody fucking loves Star Wars, or most people fucking love Star Wars. There are some people who don't like it. And all you have to do is go back and look at 1999 to see just how special Star Wars was. When A Phantom Menace came out, you know, maybe a pile of fucking steaming shit. But before anybody knew that, everybody was so excited. There were people flying to like Los Angeles from like Australia and different states and different countries and all over the world to see Star Wars. And even after Phantom Menace was a piece of shit, everybody kept going back and going back to see the other prequels because there's something just special about Star Wars. I fear with Disney making Star Wars an expanded universe that Star Wars isn't going to be special anymore. Hell, I'm already kind of getting sick of it. I can't walk into any store without Star Wars shit just being thrown in my face. I love Star Wars, but goddamn, I'm so sick and tired of seeing C-3PO. With a new Star Wars film coming out every year, it's hard for it to be special. But Disney will never give up on the idea of a Star Wars expanded universe because fools like me and the general public go and see them. We feed that cash cow. You know, we give into the system. We complain about it, but we give into it. So might as well get used to Star Wars. I think there's a huge problem in tonal shift in this film. Like in the beginning, when Rey hands Luke his lightsaber, and Luke just throws it over his shoulder, and it's, haha, it's so funny. But that's a huge tonal inconsistency. We go from this dramatic scene of Rey giving Luke like his lightsaber that he thought he lost when his hand got cut off, and Luke just fucking throws it over his shoulder because he apparently wants to be a comedian on Comedy Central. Like, and then there's this commander, I do not remember her name, but she's played by Laura Dern. And this entire movie, we're supposed to hate her, and we're not supposed to like her because we're supposed to like Poe, and she's going against what Poe believes. And then, like, 30 minutes before the film is over, and Leia wakes up, it turns out that she's bosom buddies with Leia. Now we're just supposed to like her? Like, I just spent the past hour and a half hating her. Why the fuck am I supposed to like her now? The tone is just all over the place. It wants to be dark and gritty and raw 1 minute in the scenes with like Kylo and Rey, but then we go back to Finn and Rose and it's hardy har. Like, none of it makes any sense. But maybe it wouldn't have such tonal inconsistencies if there weren't 5 fucking plots going on all at once. This film also has a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm just very curious as to how much Disney paid those critics to give this movie a glowing review, because goddamn, the audience score is like a 55, and then the critic score is a 93. How the fuck does that make any sense? The Last Jedi was not terrible, but it wasn't good either. It was just okay. Truthfully, I think that's the worst thing it could have been. It's just okay. I don't blame Rian Johnson. I mean, I'm sure he tried, but I really blame Disney for this. If Disney wasn't caught up in selling toys and making a whole bunch of extra money, then maybe it would have been better, but who knows. The Last Jedi, I think, is worth a watch, but it's not worth a second watch. So if you really want to go and give Disney your money, go ahead. Go see it. It's entertaining, but it's nowhere as good as The Force Awakens or the original trilogy or Rogue One even.